All right, well, let's get started here. We're going to go to about 5:30. And then, yeah, we'll call it a night. But
Okay.
today, again, we're just moving around. Primal day today. So moving, stretching, moving in ways your body is supposed to be able to move. And if you aren't able to do it today, we can work on it. So to start with, we're just going to start off with some breathing. So let's lay on our back. Let's put your right hand on your belly, your left hand on your chest. And we're taking some nice deep breaths. As you take those breaths, let's get your belly to rise. And your left hand, which is on your chest or your ribs, should hold still or relatively still. All right, let's take your thumb and forefinger and put them together. And you're just going to press your thumb into your breastbone or your sternum. And this is just a little thing to kind of wake up the nerves that innervate your diaphragm. So we go down the sternum, rubbing back and forth. All right, it should feel like more than a massage, so a really aggressive massage, but not so much that it's painful. All right, so we just kind of scrub up and down your breastbone, and then once you get to the bottom there, you're going to kind of hook your fingers just under your rib cage, and we're rubbing back and forth there. Again, it should be slightly uncomfortable. If someone else was doing it, you'd ask them to stop. But with you, since it's you, you kind of know exactly what you're doing here. So just making it a little bit uncomfortable. All right, let's go back to breathing again. Nice deep breaths in through your nose. Drawing that breath way down into your belly. And we exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time in through your nose. Inhale. And exhale. And good. All right, from there, we'll go ahead and sit up and have our legs straight out in front of us. So we're just sitting tall here. Push your legs out as far in front of you as you can, pulling your toes back towards you and settling in. So I'll shift from side to side just to get everything situated and kind of balancing your weight on both butt bones. You want to try to get as tall as you can from the floor all the way up to the top of your head. So sometimes if your hamstrings are really tight, you might need to prop yourself up. Okay, you can do that too, using your hands or your fingertips just to get tall up towards the ceiling. And good. From there, we'll bring one leg in. So we kind of bring your leg in and put the sole of your foot against the inside of your thigh. All right, and then you can kind of lean forward with that. Just moving around, getting a stretch there. And let's switch feet. So that one goes out. Bring your other one in. Just put the sole of your foot right up against your thigh. Just letting this leg drop out. Still a good time to focus on breathing too. Let's bring your other leg in, but we're just going to keep your shin tall. So we're bringing it in, giving it a hug. As you take your breaths, you're going to try to press your belly into your thigh. And good, let's go to the other side. So bringing your other leg in, give it a hug. We use these Thursdays as a chance to kind of recoup from the week. Since you're not quite done with the week, this week we are, but not quite done with the week. But you've had a lot behind you already, so take the chance to cool down a little bit. All right, let's bring your legs in, sit cross-legged. sitting up nice and tall. If it helps to get a stretch, if it helps you to just rest your arms on top, just to press your hips down a little bit, you can do that. If you need a little bit of help sitting up, you can prop your hands up behind you, sitting nice and tall. Either way, we're just trying to breathe here, breathe into the stretch, and try to let your hips open up. Every time you exhale, you're going to try to let go of that stretch a little bit. Think about letting your knees sink just a little bit lower on every exhale. All right, let's switch the cross of your legs. So this one is going to feel a little bit awkward, or a little bit different. So again, you can shift side to side just to kind of let yourself settle into the stretch a little bit. Staying tall from your butt bones all the way up to the top of your head. And good, let's switch the cross one more time. So back to the original way. And last time, we'll switch back. And good. All right, let's just turn one hip out. All right, so here we've got one hip turned in, one hip turned out. All right, so again, we're just settling into this, trying to get both butt cheeks to the floor. And then let's start to look. So we're going to look over one shoulder and the other. It's like somebody called your name and you're looking behind you to see who it is. It's going to be a lot harder to turn into that back leg. It's going to be easier to turn away. As you turn away, you're going to keep this cheek strong. So you're sort of putting a stretch on this quad muscle here, one that's behind you. And good, let's go ahead and switch sides. You just kind of flip your feet over. And good, let's start to look. So look over one shoulder. And then the other. And we'll just alternate between the two. And good, relax. From there, we're going to go to kind of a, I guess, child's pose if you're a yoga person. And so if full knee flexion isn't your thing, you can stay like at this crawl position, but we're going to drop your hands and your chest down towards the floor. If you're okay with full knee flexion, you'll sit your butt back towards your heels. And here we're just kind of letting your chest rest on your thighs. And maybe we shift side to side to settle into the stretch a little bit. Rest your head on the floor if you can. Depending on what your posture is like, you might, as you're breathing into your thighs here, you may get a back crack out of it, a low back crack. And good. From there, let's go ahead and take your feet, instead of having toes curled under, you're going to point your toes. And 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 you're going to point your to And I'll do that as soon as I stop cramping. I don't know if that happens to everybody, but it happens to me a lot. So we're going to try to go pointed toes. And we sit down onto your thighs. And if you're not full knee flexion, you can just go hands on the floor, point your feet, and get your shoelaces as close to the ground as you can. All right, so from here, we're going to come up to tall kneeling. And then we're just going to alternate. So we bring those toes under, curl your toes up under you, and then point again. All right, so we're just spending a little bit of time here in this tall kneeling position. Cheeks are going to be strong. So we got cheeks are strong, you're tall, and we just lay those feet down. And we're trying to lay them flat, so try not to let your heels splay out to the sides. So we don't want to see them turn out. We just want to go straight down on top of those feet. Now, if you're good with it, we can go seated. So now we'll sit on your heels. If full knee flexion doesn't work for you, we'll just stay tall with that, or go back as far as you can. Okay, then we'll come up tall again. Uncurl your toes, try to put your shoelaces on the floor. So now we just cycle through those two. Getting lots of flexion with your toes, extension with your ankles. Well, plantar flexion with your ankles. And we just cycle between those two. And good. Okay, with this one, we're gonna go, let's see. I guess you can do it either way, whether toes pointed or curled up under. Okay, so from here, we're gonna kneel all the way down if you can. If you can't, we'll just use hands to go down to the floor. So don't go to that full kneeling position. But we're gonna go all the way back. So we sit on your heels, then we shift your hips off to one side. Then we go onto the floor. And then we just kind of roll to the other side. And you'll end up coming up on your feet again. So we just switch sides, roll in here. And we're back up on top. Try that a couple times. You can also use hands to help guide you through it the first time if you need to. But your feet should stay pretty close together. Right? And the idea would be to go with as much control as you can. So doing this one slowly, there's a couple good reasons to do this one slowly. And use your fingertips wherever you need to. Good. And good. All right, let's go ahead and have a seat on your butt. And then you're going to bring one knee in close, just like the stretch we did early on. You bring one knee in close. And the goal here is just going to be to sit forward and put a little bit of weight into that foot. Right? So instead of sitting back here like this, we're just going to get forward onto that foot a little bit. Maybe you can lift up your one cheek. If you can't get weight onto it, we'll just use fingertips and sort of help just to rock you forward. Then we'll go to the other side. Put a little bit of pressure into your heel, into the floor. So here I'm just shifting forward to get some body weight on top of it. And we'll just switch back and forth here for now. Alternating as you bring that leg in. You're just going to shift forward. You may feel a little stretch in the inside of your thigh. Just as you shift forward, you're going to be putting weight down into that floor. And then if you've done this progression before, you guessed it, we're going to try to sit and lean forward and actually bring your hips up off the ground. So from here, I'm going to roll forward and come back. roll forward, and come back. So now we're rolling, putting all your weight on your foot so that your butt comes off the floor. Again, if you want fingertips, you can use fingertips to help. Okay, and then the way you would progress that is just maybe go to one hand. So only your opposite side hand helps. Think of this as almost like part of a Turkish get-up, right? Or any kind of get-up where you're lifting, right? So you'll help with just with opposites. And then eventually you'll be able to work your way towards coming up without the use of your fingertips.
Wow, and you see that hard to do.
All right. Did I hear it? I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no.
Well, as long as you can, if you can use your fingertips and sit up on top like that, that's fine. All right. So let's go rolling over, going on to elbows. And I want to use this as a hip flexor stretch, right? So we always talk about that kind of that arch with your spine. So we want each spine segment to share some of the arch. And that means that you shouldn't really be folded in half at any point. It's that each joint is going to share a little bit of the extension. So try to make it so that as you get into position here, you can kind of move back and forth. As you get into position here, you should feel like there's not one spot on your spine that feels like a pinch or pressure. All right, so here I'm settled in, feel pretty good here. The more your elbows are under you, the higher you're going to be. All right, so once we get there, we're going to take one knee out to your side. So you'll kind of turn one knee in and bring it out to the side just like that. All right, so what that's going to do is put a little more pressure on your other hip flexor. So the hip flexor that's still under you. All right, you're going to be pressing your hips, trying to use your butt cheek. So let's do this. Bring your left leg up so I can talk about this. All right, so your left leg is going to be up next to you. So that means your right hip flexor is going to get stretched here. If we can push up off the ground, you're going to try to flex your right butt cheek and push your hip down towards the floor. You should be getting a big stretch down the front of your hip. And again, we're trying to stay tall, your upper body. And good, let's lower yourself down and we'll go ahead and switch sides. All right, so find that stretch again. Find that place where the extension is pretty comfortable. And then we're gonna bring your right knee up to the side. Okay, so right knee's up to the side, pushing your left hip down towards the floor. Flex your left butt cheek. So you're putting an extra stretch or getting kind of an extra push on the front of that left hip. And good. All right, let's come up to half kneeling. So that's one knee on the ground. Again, we're gonna get as tall as you can here. We just stretched this in sort of a really similar position, right? Position relative, we were on the floor, but the position would have looked like this. Okay, so now we're just gonna push that knee straight ahead. We go kind of knee just over your toes. So we are kind of lunging forward a little bit and we get that stretch. So it's kind of a tug of war between pushing forward and tucking your tailbone under. So you don't want to let your tailbone drift out the back so that you get way down into this. Like we don't need this. We'd rather keep our tailbone tucked under and then just play a little bit of tug of war. So you shouldn't have to go too far. And let's repeat that process on the other side. So again, we're finding that good posture. And we push forward just slightly into the stretch. And good. Let's go back to the first side. And let's say, just for the sake of instruction, let's say left knee on the ground, right knee up. All right, so from here, we're gonna take your left hand, put your left hand on the ground, and we're just gonna reach forward, tap your butt to the floor, and then come right back to your knee. All right, so it's kind of, we don't often go from this spot. We usually are getting up off your butt. But this is, just a different way to approach it. It challenges your brain in a little bit different way, and your body's forced to do things in a little bit different pattern. So let's do that again. Left hand to the floor. Bring that leg through all the way out in front of you, sit your butt down on the floor, and then we come back up and get tall. Let's do it one last time. Hand to the floor, bring that leg through, and then we come back up. And good. So then we'll switch knees. We'll go to the other side. So now we're just in this half kneeling position. If you're going to go down to your butt, you take your right hand to the floor, and then we pull that right leg through, touch your butt to the floor.
Definitely.
And we come back up to the knee. Okay, let's get tall every time. Go right hand to the floor again. Bring your right leg through to the front, sitting on your butt for just a second, and then we bring it back under you. The challenge here is to lift yourself high enough, or lift your hips high enough off the ground so that you don't have to drag or pull you shouldn't see shoe marks on the carpet here from where you're dragging your heel back, okay? Let's go hand to the floor one last time. Swing through, sit down on your butt, and then we come back up. All right, so we're gonna throw just a little bit of movement, extra movement in with this, right? So now we're gonna do it, and we're gonna change at the top. We're gonna alternate at the top, all right? So this would be the top of the position. It's kind of the highest we're gonna get. So this is the top. So we've got right knee up. That means the left hand goes to the ground. Push through, touch your butt to the ground, come back up. Once you get tall, we're gonna keep nice and clean with the upper body. We switch knees. All right, so now left knee is up. We go right hand to the floor, through, touch your butt, coming back up. Good, and we switch again. We're gonna do that 2 more times each side. We'll let you guys walk through it here. Remember, we're only switching at the top. So whatever you do to get down there, you're just gonna reverse that motion and come back up. Last time on each side. This is kind of sneaky core strength, shoulder stability, hip stability, hip mobility. So there's actually a ton going on here that, you can do artificial things in the gym to work on it, but I think it's just better to do it. That's why we have this class. You can get so much done with just these simple movements. Okay, we're gonna do one last thing here. I always like to finish with something that is just a little bit challenging. It's gonna have your legs warm just a little bit. So what I wanna do is, if you have a balance beam, you can use a balance beam for this, but we do have one, but I'm just gonna step out on the floor. So what I'd like to do is just lunge forward like you're stepping forward on a balance beam, right? So your feet should be right in line, and you're gonna take a big step forward, big enough so that your knee can touch the ground without hitting your heel, okay? So then we're just gonna push back up, and we go feet square, and then we'll alternate that. So we'll step forward with the other leg, stepping forward right in line. So when that knee touches the ground, you're gonna think about, like, if your front and back foot were on a balance beam, your knee is also gonna be on the balance beam. I guess I should show my feet. All right, so as I step forward, I take that step forward, you should only see really my front leg, and my knees on the board, and my back legs on the board. Right, and you'll see, like, with that really narrow stance, it does tend to take a little bit of balance. So we're challenging your balance here a little bit with the more narrow stance. And good, relax. Next thing, with that same idea in mind, we're going to step forward on the balance beam, but now you're going to be reaching for something. So if you step forward with your, let's see, if you step forward with your right leg, we'll do that one first. You're going to step forward with your right leg and then reach as far right as you can. Like you're on a balance beam and you've got something that's just out of reach that you're trying to touch. Okay, now 2 ways we can do this. You can step forward and let that back knee hover off the ground and we reach out to the side as far as you can. Or you can step forward and actually put that knee down on the ground and then reach out. So obviously keeping your knee off the ground is going to be a little bit more work, but it also allows you to reach a little bit more. Okay, so let's do that. Step forward with your right leg. Your knee is either going to hover or be right on the ground, but then we reach out as far as you can and we'll come back up. All right, let's go left leg forward. So we step forward with left. Again, you're on that balance beam and you're going to shift that weight, reach as far as you can to the right, like you're reaching out to help somebody over onto your balance beam. Let's alternate again, right foot forward, reaching out to the side, come back up. Okay, the last one of these, step forward, still in that really narrow stance, where you reach as far as you can to the left. Okay, 4 more lunges left. Now we're going to step forward with right and reach with your left, right? So this is a little bit more challenging because you aren't working into your body, you're working away from your body. So let's step forward with your right foot. We hold that lunge, knee just off the ground. Now we're going to reach with your left hand as far as you can. And we come back up. Other side, step forward with left. And reach with right, or reach to your right. Okay, last one on each side. We step forward with right foot. Reach to your left. And last one. Step forward with left. Reach to your right. Like you're trying to reach for your drink. And done. Okay. What do you think? How you guys feel?
Good. It's good work for my legs. I definitely need that.
Yeah, it seemed like that, like get up when we alternate, when you kind of slide through and sit on your butt from half kneeling, it seemed like that way worked better for you than starting from your butt and getting up. Good. Just another way to learn it. Really quickly, I noticed after all this time, I was going back through all the names and emails. I noticed that I have the same email address for both of you guys. So only one of you is getting the emails.
Well, actually, we both see that. You know what? I can give you my second email address. I have a Gmail address I can give you too, Brian.
Okay.
I can send that. Yeah, I'll send that to you.
We kind of just have that one as a family one, so we both see it when it comes.
Okay. Yeah.
So if it's easier, you can just leave it that way. But if
I was like counting numbers, and then the number of emails that was going out, it was off by 1. I was like, what is happening? And it took me like an hour to figure out.
Yeah, we do it. We do a family share with the Apple and everything else we got. But I'll give you my email address too to add on too. So there's a lot of times
I'm cool with it if you are, but
yeah, there's a lot of times I miss some emails because I don't look at them as close as Deb does. So if I have the Gmail address, I'll definitely see it more.
Okay.
I won't miss it too.
Cool. Okay, well, let's do that then. I'll get you straightened out there.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right, you two. Well, Merry Christmas. Say hello to the family for me.
we'll do. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas too.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Thanks, Brian.